the weekly numbers. Sorry for the bugs splattered on the windshield. I'm going to have to start factoring in a car wash after each load because the bugs are just insane, especially going up here into Wisconsin like I typically am. But with that said, so as far as costs go, well, let's start with loads. I ran 3 loads this week, and one of them was a fifth wheel that was over 10,000 GVWR, so I got a little bit more money. That one went up to Suamico, and it paid $735. I did a smaller trailer up to La Crosse, Wisconsin, that paid $840. And then the one that I'm pulling currently, $560 to Madison, Wisconsin. So between those 3 loads, it was $2,135 gross. And it works out to be pretty much, because 50% of my miles are loaded, so I always count it as however much I make, that's how many miles I drove. It's pretty darn close to that. So we'll call it 2,100 miles, $2,135. And then as far as like the hours themselves go, it was 33 hours total for the week for those 3 loads. So still semi part-time, approaching that full-time to make that money. But between those 3 loads, I was home each night. I didn't spend any night out on the road or anything like that. So 3 days of driving. And if you watch the channel before, you'll know that I have my own business as well. So the other 2 days that I didn't, well, technically there's 7 days in a week, but we'll call it the other 2 other days I did work within my business to make money there as well. So not just RV transport money, but these numbers are just RV transport. As far as my costs go, I did have a little bit higher costs this week, and it's kind of hard to I'll explain that a little bit. But because I was driving for my business, pulling my work trailer, and then also we were doing some car shopping for my wife, so we were doing a lot more driving and racking up a lot more tolls, especially because a couple of the dealerships that we went to, we drove separate, and so I'm racking up tolls in 2 cars that are all going on my one account. So I didn't go through and like figure out what days I was driving for that, so my tolls are going to be a little bit skewed, and then my fuel as well, because I was using my truck a lot for driving to these dealerships, and then also during the week when I was doing the work within my business. So a lot of the gas and miles, would have been either driving to those dealerships or pulling my work trailer, doing that. So, but my total cost was $938.16. $581 in fuel. Oh, that's $581.16. $30 for insurance that I consider every week. $100 for truck maintenance that I set aside, which I will be doing oil change, fuel filter, and air filter hopefully tomorrow. $210 was the tolls. I spent $13 on food this week while I was out on the road. $10 on a car wash, which that's what I was saying. I'm going to have to factor in basically a $10 car wash after every load moving forward, at least during the summer and spring and fall probably. And then I had an additional expense this week. I bought another battery because I was having issues with my battery that I just purchased like a month or 2 ago. So that was $114. I stopped at Dan's Hitch in Elkhart, Indiana, picked up another battery. So that's where I got the $938.16. And when you take that off the $21.35 gross, it leaves me with $1196.84. So, like I said, a lot of cost associated with non-RV transport in that, and then adding in the extra cost of the battery for this week, as well as the $13, in food, which is nothing. But that's where the numbers the weekly net kind of got hit hard. Like I said, the fuel costs and tolls were inflated a lot, and then that battery is the big one. So probably if I was really tracking down the numbers and seeing where the tolls got racked up, if it actually related to RV transport, and then how much fuel I used for RV transport versus my business and just driving around, I would say I was probably closer to that like $1,400, $1,500 net. But this is just easy numbers. Give you an idea, working 3 days, how much can you make doing RV transport locally? And when I say local, it's because I live in Illinois, I pick up in Indiana, most of my loads are going to somewhere in Wisconsin, Illinois, and then I'm back home that night. So it's all local. I don't spend any nights out on the road. So I don't have any hotel costs or anything like that. Just something to factor in. I know, loads that you're headed out west or maybe east or something, you're probably making a lot more money. 21.35 gross. A lot of the longer distance loads are going to pay quite a bit more than that for one load. I don't know how many days it takes to say run out from Indiana to Colorado. I have no idea. And then you got the deadhead back. I don't know how many miles that is. I've never done it. I can only speak for what I do, which is local RV transport, short loads, and back home each night. So that's what I'm left with. 3 days of work. Obviously, if you want to be more full-time than I am, you could run a lot harder. You can run 4 or 5 days a week. I've done 4 loads. I've done 5 loads. I average 3.5 loads a week. So it's always between 3 and 4. I've had 1 week where I did 5. And, I would say average load for me, start to finish, like leaving my house and then back home, is between 9 and 10 hours. When I'm doing the longer ones, like La Crosse, which is the farthest one that I've done, it's a good 12 to 13 hour day with breaks. Shortest one being, I could do like Elkhorn, Wisconsin in probably just under 8 hours. From leaving my house, getting to Indiana, getting to Elkhorn, getting back home. 8, maybe 7 on a good day, depending on what I'm pulling. So like this Madison run is going to take me 8.5 hours. But this is like best case scenario. I got a 16-foot trailer. I left in the afternoon on a Sunday on Mother's Day, so I hit very little traffic, just a little bit coming back into Chicago. Almost no wind. So that's kind of like best case scenario. If I was pulling a park model right now, this 8.5 hour load would probably be every bit of a 10-hour load to Madison. So, but it would pay a little bit extra. But just something to keep in mind. If you're interested in running or leasing on to the company that I'm leased on with, you can find my email address in the page description, and feel free to email me, and I can get you in contact with my dispatcher and see if you're a good fit. We do require at minimum a 3/4 ton, and it has to be a diesel pickup truck. So just something to keep in mind. And unlike a lot of the bigger companies where they might only require 1 load a month, we do require a minimum of 12 loads per month. So just something to keep in mind. It's a little bit different than other companies. We don't get paid. We don't get reimbursed for any loaded tolls. We don't get a fuel discount, so you have to get that on your own. I signed up for the Open Roads app, and then, but the downside is that you have to get your own fuel savings. May not be as good as some of the big companies. You're not getting reimbursed for the loaded tolls, but the upside is our minimum loads are $2 a mile, up to $2.20. Well, technically up to $2.50 a mile for dealer-to-dealer transfers or customer deliveries. And then we don't get charged any transfer fees or pull-out fees, whatever you want to call them, which a lot of companies are charging $30 to $40 for. And other thing is, a lot of the big companies will give you 50% up front. We don't. The company that I'm leased down with, you get paid at the end of the week. So you have to at least be in a financial position to be able to, afford your fuel and everything for the week. And then on Fridays we get paid for the week or the previous week. So you run a week, you get paid on a Friday. Next week you run and you get paid for that load on Friday. Hopefully that makes sense. But yeah, that's it for this video. Let me know what you think in the comments. If you think the pay was pretty decent for 3 days of work, I think it was okay. Like I said, I had a little bit more cost than normal. I was trying to think of some of the questions. I get a lot of emails about the company that I run for, and I was trying to address some of the questions that people have asked recently. Of course, I'll reply to those people as well. But if you email me, give me a few days. I try to get back as quickly as possible. I've been getting a ton of emails lately, so I'm just trying to catch up on those at nighttime when I'm at home. But I promise I'll get back to you. If for some reason I don't after a few days, feel free to email me again, and I'll make sure that I get back to you in case I forgot about you. But if there's any questions, throw them in the comments, shoot me an email, whatever is easiest for you guys, and we'll get those answered. I think it's a good time to get into RV transport. We've been busy, so I think other companies are busy as well.